Hey folks, I'm Kevin Snow and welcome to the Inspire Your Event podcast. So today we're going to be talking about coming up with one of the first stages of planning your wedding and figuring out what might be most important to you. And that is going to come down to what your overall idea for your wedding is, okay? Obviously you want to have the best wedding ever, right? But how are you going to get there? There's a couple things to look at. So you're trying to create your mood, your atmosphere, the energy or the feeling that you want people to have at your wedding and what they think about when they leave your wedding. So, and this is gonna, when you pick these things first, this is gonna help guide other things that maybe you didn't think they were most important, but now it's like, wow, we really need to do this. It's gonna guide your color choices, the food that you have, the type of music that's gonna be played at certain points throughout the night, right? So let's say you're thinking about your wedding, and I've went ahead and wrote down some things here, so I'm gonna be looking at this, but I'll put it up here for you as we go through it. So, all right, so let's get right into it. So let's say the one idea that you might have is you just want to have like a romantic or intimate type of wedding, right? So we're going to put romantic, intimate. And then I encourage you to do this too. That way you can kind of get a visual representation of what you want to do. This is just like back in school whenever you made a web diagram. So let's say you go with romantic, intimate, right? And that's what you kind of want for your wedding. What things can you do to create that feeling? So maybe it's the table settings. If you put 10 people at one table, you kind of lose that intimacy, right? So maybe if each table, some of the tables only set 2 people or 4 people, may not be practical or logical for what you're doing, but something to think about if that's what you're going for. So you could say, like your table placement, is everyone real close together? And how many guests, sorry for my horrible handwriting, you'll have to learn to go with that. So your table placement and your guests, the type of lighting that you have. Should we have some sort of low lighting? If that's the case and everyone's having dinner and it's daytime, maybe you need to have some way that you can kind of block the light out. Or if you're having your wedding in the winter and daylight savings is affecting it, it's gonna be nice and dark anyway. But if you have low lighting, you could have candles, right? So some nice candles. You can have the flameless ones if necessary. That's another way to make it a romantic wedding. Also, just the color choices that you use, red, black, white, something like that. So the color choices or the music that's being played at dinner. What kind of romantic, I wrote romantic, but I just really meant to write music. So what kind of music do you play? So if you're wanting romantic, intimate, let's say on the other hand, you want to go completely opposite with that and you want to do something that's just like crazy, energetic, wild, and fun. So, some energy, wild, right? So like that's what you're going for. What types of things are going to drive that? You want to have like colors that pop, bright colors. Maybe you want to have a lot of dancing right from the get-go, things that are encouraging dancing, some games and activities from the moment they come in. You could have some icebreaker type things that they're doing, getting people up and moving around. If you're outside, you can have some outside activities, just some fun, some games or activities, right? So things that are going to keep people moving. Let's see, what else did I write down over here on mine? So another thing, if you are having lots of energy, people moving around a lot, when it comes to your decorations, let's try to find things that won't break, right? Planning ahead here so you don't have people knocking things over and breaking glass and all of that good stuff. Another thing that you could do would be themed, right? So I'm a big advocate for people doing things that aren't usually done at weddings. That's why I wrote this book here, No More Cookie Cutter Weddings. You can get that off of inspysnow.com or Amazon or something like that if you want to get a copy of this. So let's say you're doing themed. What are some fun things that you could do? Maybe you're really into movies, so you want to have a movie star red carpet kind of wedding. If that's something that you're doing, what other types of things go into having that? So maybe you want everyone to have a camera, right? So everyone has disposable cameras. And tell them to make sure the flash is on. That way you have the flashes going off all night, right? And you have, of course, the red carpet. Or you have part of your decorations include stars. You know, the stars are important. Or you want your uplights to kind of look like the Hollywood lights. Maybe that's something where you could have a little bit of haze in the room, and your lighting is really important there. Lighting to make it look, like it's just a glitz, famous. These are words that you can write down and try to think of what can we do so that we get these types of feelings. This last bubble up here is just going to be if you want it to be like super about you and it's like your personality. So what are things that go with you? Maybe you love animals. So you want to have your dog at your wedding. Or if you want to do something crazy with the No More Cookie Cutter Weddings, you could have pony, horse riding, something that goes someplace that has like a llama farm, petting zoo, something like that, right? Like that'd be cool and different. And that would be if you love animals. If you're not really big into animals, you may not like that idea, and that's okay. Other things about your personality. Let's say, what do you do as a profession? I went to a wedding one time for some science teachers. They both really loved science because they both taught science. And then therefore, they're, I think they were like drinking from like beakers. So you can have like science related materials, and their table placements, each one of those was like a famous scientist, had a chandelier that was made from test tubes, and they really wanted to people pour sand and do different things in the ceremony. They were gonna pour some chemicals that were gonna be like blue and pink and then explode once they went in. However, it rained and they had to be inside, and they didn't get to do that. But it'd been cool, and they were thinking, and I like that they're thinking like that. So they're doing things that were important to them. Now, depending on which way you go, what is also important about this is whenever you go to, you're doing romantic and intimate, and you go to speak to your floral designer, you don't just show up there with no idea. You're like, hey, what's it cost for your flowers for a wedding? And they're gonna have a lot of questions for you. So if you can get to them first and say, hang on, this is our idea. We want it to be, really romantic, and these are some of the colors that we're thinking about. And we're gonna need roses or rose petals, spread on the tables, or something like floating in water, right? You can go ahead and tell your florist, the people doing your decorations, your drapes, tablecloths, you can use these things to say, we want it to look like it's this big Hollywood, kind of thing. So we need like spotlights that are moving. And when it comes to attire, you might want to have some like real glitzy stuff looking like New Year's. So anyway, these are some things to think about whenever, and let me see what else I have here, make sure I'm not missing anything. Let's see. Yeah, it's just best to have these ideas so that when you go to convey your idea and message to whoever's helping give you the best wedding ever, they know exactly what you're going for, and you're not just kind of fishing around. Because I've said it a million times, and I'll probably say it a million more. Whenever you go to speak to your vendor and they ask you what you want to do, and your response back to them is, I don't know, we just want to have a fun time, which is what everybody wants, right? You want it to be fun. But that's what a lot of people say. We're like, we don't care, we just want everyone to have fun. All right, well, that means a lot of different things to different people. Or the other one is, what does everybody else do? And it's not about what everyone else does. This is your wedding. It's not their wedding. So what do you want to do to show off your unique characteristics, right? So you want to have the best wedding ever. It starts with your planning and then taking those things to your vendors. It's going to make your wedding the best, and your vendors are going to love you for already having a plan in mind, right? So that's all I have for today. I'm Kevin Snow. Thank you for listening to Inspire Your Event. And until next time, I'll see you on the dance floor.